Hey everybody, Tosin here with a DPS guide for solo shuffle on how to carry in solo shuffle. Now, I can't help you with your mechanics and your muscle memory and your general awareness, but I can steer you in the right direction with a few key points for what you should look out for if you want to increase your odds of winning in solo shuffle. You can carry to an extent. Obviously, you have a bunch of random teammates you're thrown in with, so you're not going to be able to win every round no matter how hard you try, but you can definitely increase your odds dramatically if you just follow these tips. Tip number 1, don't rely on your teammates to CC the healer. Most of the time, especially at the lower ratings, but even at decently high ratings, you will find a gratuitous amount of tunnel vision. A lot of the time my DPS partners might throw one random CC at the healer, but more often than not, they won't even try to CC the healer at all. They'll just tunnel vision and do as much damage as they can. But if you're playing a DPS class or spec that has CC, even little short CCs can add up to a lot. If you can CC the healer yourself while your teammate is just doing maximum damage, that can work in your favor, because you don't have the coordination to do actual CC chains on voice with these people, so you're going to just have to hope that they pump out enough damage and help you get kills. But if you go and CC the healer yourself, you would be shocked how often you can win a game just by throwing random, even relatively short CCs at the healer. I'll show you an example here. We're about to start cranking this Shadow Priest, and there's no CC on the Shaman. So I put him in a focus gouge, just a focus gouge. He actually had Trinket as well. He didn't even Trinket, and he almost got the Spirit Link off because something broke my gouge, and that's going to happen. Break on damage CCs are not totally reliable, but again, you'd be surprised. So just because I gouged this guy at the right time, because he had his little Aura Mastery, Ancestral Guidance, or whatever the hell it's called, where he can't be interrupted on cast, he was pretty confident that he'd get a cast off, so I just gouged him real quick, followed by our team just bursting the crap out of the Shadow Priest, and this guy just dies, and all it took was a 1-second gouge timed right. Now, I realize Rogue has higher than average CC, and not all the DPS specs in the game are going to be able to do something like this. But here, I'm going to blind the enemy healer, although it was half because of the sleepwalk, and then I just vanish and sap him off. Now, funny enough, I forgot my cancel aura macro to cancel my Blade Flurry, so I actually broke that blind, but he trinketed at the same time anyway, because of course he doesn't expect the full blind to get instantly broken by an idiot. But, moral of the story, this is an easy way to either get kills or force cooldowns all on your own. If you can just do a blind into a sap, or even a focus kidney shot or gouge at the right time when the enemy target is wounded, you can force cooldowns or just straight up get kills, and it goes a long way. And if the game lasts long enough, which believe it or not, sometimes it can, especially when you get higher rated and people are more confident, especially the healers, you can have some, 3-4 minute games sometimes. Now, I'm primarily referring to adding your extra CC to healers, but in this case here, I put the Warlock in a kidney shot. I'm playing double Rogue this round, and my other Rogue partner already kidney shotted the Hunter. Sometimes doing a half kidney shot is worth it if the target's very low and you might kill him in it before he can turtle or something, but generally speaking, I don't want to do a half kidney shot, so I'd rather get a full value kidney shot on the enemy Warlock. This gets his Trinket out of the way, and if he didn't have his Trinket, it would stop a lot of his damage in CC, which puts us ahead. But in this case, it gets his Trinket, and we're very low right here and dying, but now I get to put him in another full kidney shot, which means he can't peel his Hunter, and he can't kill us when we're already very low and close to dying. So don't just think about CCing the healer, but if you have extra CC and you're looking at the diminishing returns on whatever add-on, you don't want to waste CC by doing a DR kidney. I mean, I make that mistake and don't look at the DR sometimes, so, do as I say, not as I do. But generally, if I know somebody is on stun DR, unless they're likely to die in a diminished stun, I'm not going to bother. I'd rather just put a full kidney shot on a different target and get their Trinket, or just cross CC them so they can't peel and can't do counter pressure. So in this case, putting 2 kidney shots back to back on the Warlock when we're very low health not only serves to peel us from the Warlock's damage, but it also means the Warlock can't spam Fear and peel us when we're about to kill the Hunter. Now my Rogue blinds the healer, I kidney shot the Warlock, and then I gouge the healer. I knew in this case my Assassination Rogue could easily finish off a Hunter at 20% health himself, more than likely, so I figured it was worth it to go back, kidney shot the Warlock so he can't peel, and then gouge the healer out of that blind. Now, those dragons, have a lot of big instant cast heals. I'm not saying the gouge definitely secured the kill there, But, I mean, he might have died without the gouge because he was just around the corner. But there's a possibility that he would press one of his big dragon heals that I don't fully understand yet. It's a new class, and I'm not entirely sure all their heal buttons. All I know is they rarely cast their heals, and they just heal for a crap ton. So read the situation. If you have a lot of pressure and you're getting a target low and you want to either kill them or force defensive cooldowns, throw whatever little CCs you have. Focus, kidney shots on the healer, gouges, whatever. Of course, I'm showing you a rogue perspective, and rogues have more CC than most classes on average, so I'm not expecting you to do all the things that I can do on a rogue, obviously. I would say enhancement shamans probably will have the hardest time getting anything out of this tip in particular, because all you can really do is like a focus wind shear and maybe drop a capacitor totem and hope it hits them or something. Shamans don't have a ton of on-demand instant CC like a lot of other classes do, but pretty much every DPS class does have some form of instant CC that they can apply, or even casted CC, like a druid bashing or using his incapacitating roar into a cyclone. A lot of that stuff is super good. Here's another example. The druid is already on DR for my kidney shot, the monk is really low, I got Ring of Peace out, so I'm just going to gouge the druid and let my warrior finish this guy off, and I'll contribute with a big old pistol shot. Just a little gouge can win you games. Lots of classes have little CCs that you can do, and it's all about timing it right and understanding the pressure you have, or just cross-CCing DPS so they can't peel. Tip number 2, swap targets often and keep pressure during the enemy defensives. There is no point in tunnel visioning a Shadow Priest when he pops Dispersion, unless he's like 5% health and you can actually kill him through it. But if somebody gets like Iron Bark and they're 80% health, or they pop Dispersion, or Windwalker pops his Fortifying Brew and Dampen Harm, and or Karma. Karma's a little different. If you have enough damage, you can actually break through Karma and kill the monk pretty easily, so it all depends on if you feel you can break through it. But if he pops the other cooldowns at high enough health, there's no way you're going to kill him through Dampen Harm and Fortifying Brew. So recognize enemy defensives and know how much mitigation they actually have. You don't want to waste your time waiting for a hunter's turtle to come down if he gets topped off during the turtle, or if he's likely to get topped off. If a mage ice blocks, instead of just waiting there for the mage to come out, just immediately start pounding another target, because constant pressure on different targets makes healer lives so much harder, and you can put them further and further behind. So if you hit this mage, right? So here this mage gets Iron Bark. There's no point in tunneling him. He's standing in a Ring of Peace, bouncing us back, and he has Iron Bark and full hots, and he's gonna get topped off instantly. There's no point in continuing to train the mage there. It just doesn't make any sense. So we swap to the monk. Now he puts Thorns on the monk, who isn't even our main target. And then he pops Karma, we break through the Karma pretty quickly, and then he pops his Fortifying Elixir. We just got every defensive cooldown and Thorns in a few seconds of just swapping to the monk while the mage was unkillable. Now we go back on the mage. But now that the monk has no cooldowns, this means we can always go back and swap to him later, which we do. And he has no cooldowns left because we randomly swapped to him and got all of his cooldowns instantly. Keep your enemies on their toes. The easiest thing in the world for a healer is to just keep healing the same target over and over. A healer puts Iron Bark on somebody, like a Resto Druid will put Iron Bark on somebody, and full hots and Thorns, and they're like, yes, please keep attacking the target that I just invested all these cooldowns into that already has full hots. But if you swap, even to the healer himself, it puts them under immense pressure and keeps you ahead. Tip number 3. Before the gates open, the game automatically puts raid icons on all your party members. Take note of what your healer's raid icon is before each match starts. It's very important because in the chaos of the fight, if you start getting close to death and needing to retreat somewhere, you want to be able to easily recognize which raid icon is your healer's so you can retreat to where he is. Not only are you going to piss off and scare away a lot of healers from solo queue if you run away from them because you don't know where they are and you're just low on health and you're panicking and you grappling hook or disengage or whatever in the wrong direction and line of sight yourself from your healer, you can easily lose matches just from that mistake. An unbelievable amount of matches are lost because people don't pay attention to their healer's raid icon and where they're positioned and just panic and run like chickens with their head cut off. Now I will say, sometimes the game bugs out and doesn't automatically give raid icons. It rarely happens, but it's very dangerous when it does. Here is one of those cases where my teammates don't have a raid icon, so it's actually very hard to find my healer here. I'm going to get really low and get to like literally 4% health or something and almost die. And I am actually, while I'm in a turtle, I'm desperately just looking around for my shaman. It's also important to take note of the class that you're playing with as well. I'm playing with a resto shaman, which means I need to be on the lookout for earthen shield totems and stuff like that. And also I want to make sure I'm close to him so he can spirit link. Here, it was very hard to find my shaman, but I eventually did notice that he's right next to me, so I'm standing on top of him because I just know he's going to have to spirit link me here or I'm going to die. So I stayed on top of him. It's not great positioning to be right on top of the entire enemy team, but I knew I'd die if I ran away. I just needed to stay close for a spirit link, and I was able to survive and win this round because of it. Another example here, same matchup generally speaking. I'm going to be in big trouble in a moment. Assassination Rogue kidney shots and bombs me, puts every debuff in the world on me, and I'm going to pop all these defensives, but it's not going to be enough. I'm just dying to bleed, so I'm going to end up turtling, but I can see my raid icon. The pink diamond is my shaman, so I'm standing right on top of him for a spirit link. It's very important to not only keep track of their raid icon, but also pay attention to what class they are, because there are very specific mechanics for some classes like Spirit Link, which obviously they can throw the Spirit Link and divide it between you and your DPS partner, but generally speaking, a lot of the time the healer, if he's full health, definitely wants to share his health with you. Splitting it between 2 targets is a lot worse than splitting it between 3. So keeping track of your teammates' raid icons, especially with very class-specific mechanics like that, is very important. We won that game only because I was paying attention to where my healer was. If I used my normal hunter kiting instinct and kept running in the opposite direction and didn't know where my healer was, I would definitely die there and lose that round. So it's very crucial to always keep track of where your healer is. It's harder for a melee to keep track of where the healer is because you're in there deep in the enemy's territory a lot of the time, and your camera's spinning around as you're trying to face targets all the time. So it's a lot harder, I find, on Rogue to keep track constantly of where your healer is, but periodically you should be looking around and taking note at that raid icon and just keeping a general idea of where your healer is. That way, if you need to retreat, you know where to go. Anyway guys, that's it for this guide. I hope you find it useful. I hope it helps you win some games and climb some rating. Thanks for watching, and peace out.